Lokmanya Tilak passed away in 1920, and the leadership of the freedom movement passed into the hands of Mahatma Gandhi. Let's study what is Satyagraha. There was British rule in South Africa. Some of the people of India had settled there. The British rulers were unjust and oppressive towards the Indian settlers and the blacks in South Africa. Gandhiji had gone to South Africa to work as a lawyer. There he organized the Indians to fight against the injustice. For this, he used the path of Satyagraha. Satyagraha means fighting against injustice in a non-violent way. Satyagraha laid emphasis on the changing the views or opinions about the person who inflicts injustice upon others. By adopting the path of Satyagraha, Gandhiji secured justice for the people in South Africa. In 1915, Gandhiji returned to India from South Africa. He observed that Indians had to face many problems under the British rule. He therefore decided to launch a movement against it using Satyagraha. Gandhiji first looked into the problems of the peasants of Champaran in Bihar. There, the British planters used to force the peasants to grow indigo. Gandhiji launched a Satyagraha against this coercion and liberated the peasants from the tyranny of the British planters. Kheda district of Gujarat was facing severe famines. Still, the British government was forcibly collecting the land revenue. With Gandhiji's support and encouragement, the peasants fought against this injustice through Satyagraha. Finally, the government had to waive the land revenue. Now let's study about Rowlatt Act. By the Reform Act, the British government granted some rights to the Indians, but at the same time began to use law to suppress the Indians. For this, the government made an act known as Rowlatt Act. It was extremely unjust and repressive. It empowered the government to put anyone in prison without trial. A countrywide wave of rage rose against this act. On an appeal from Gandhiji, Hartal was observed throughout the country to condemn this act. The government tried to suppress the movement. Next is Jallianwalla Baug Massacre. The government banished Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu for staging a hartal at Amritsar. To condemn the banishment, a public meeting was held at Jallianwalla Baug in Amritsar. A large number of people had gathered there. General Dyer, a military officer, ordered his troops to open fire on this gathering. Over 400 people died and thousands were injured in the firing. After this incident, the British let loose a reign of terror in Punjab. News of these atrocities spread like wildfire. It sent a wave of fury throughout the country. In protest against these atrocities, Rabindranath Tagore returned the title of Sir conferred upon him by the British government. Now let's learn about Khilafat Movement. The Sultan of Turkey was known as Khalif. He was considered to be the religious head of the Muslims. Turkey fought against the English in the First World War. But to secure the cooperation of the Indian Muslims, the British assured them that they would not harm the position of the Caliph. The British, however, did not keep their promise. As soon as the war ended, they partitioned the Turkish Empire and took possession of some of the provinces. This angered the Indian Muslims. They launched a movement against the British to support the Caliph. It is known as the Khilafat Movement. The Indian National Congress actively supported the movement. The leaders of the Khilafat movement too supported the non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement. Gandhiji was of the opinion that if the Indian refused to cooperate with the British would not be able to rule India even for a day. For this purpose, the Indian National Congress approved a program of non-cooperation. As a part of the program, people were to refuse or return the degrees, titles or honours conferred upon them by the British. They were not to attend government schools and colleges. They were to boycott foreign goods. Lawyers were to boycott government court cases. Along with non-cooperation, Gandhiji undertook some constructive measures as a part of this movement. They included eradication of untouchability, bringing about Hindu-Muslim unity, and prohibition of alcoholic drinks. The non-cooperation movement received a countrywide support. Students withdrew their names from the government schools and joined national schools. Many lawyers gave up their practice in government courts. People burnt foreign goods. Leaders like Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Vallabhbhai Patel and others participated in this movement. Women also took an active part in it. As the government gained in strength, the government made more and more use of the repressive measures. In Uttar Pradesh, the Satyagrahis took out a peaceful procession at Chauri Chaura. The police beat the people in the procession with lathis. Infuriated by this, the Satyagrahis set the police station on fire. Some policemen died in the fire. Gandhiji did not want the non-cooperation movement to take a violent turn. So he stopped the non-cooperation movement. And yet the government arrested Gandhiji. Though the non-cooperation movement was stopped, Satyagraha was undertaken in many parts of the country. The government was not moved by the Satyagraha. Therefore, leaders like Motilal Nehru, Chittaranjan Das and some others felt that they should get elected to the Legislative Council and oppose the repression of the British government from within. For this purpose, they established the Swaraj Party. In the Legislative Council, they opposed the unjust policies of the British. Simon Commission. A commission was sent to India to assess the implementation of the reforms introduced by the British in India. Sir John Simon was its president. Hence, this commission was known as the Simon Commission. There was not a single Indian representative on it. Therefore, the Indian National Congress boycotted the commission. The commission was shown black flags in protest. Wherever the commission went, it was greeted with the slogans, "Go back, Simon." In Lahore, Lala Lajpatrai led the demonstration against the Simon Commission. He was wounded in the police lathi charge. Later, he succumbed to these injuries. Let's get more information about Lala Lajpatrai. Lala Lajpatrai was a famous lawyer. He wrote for the dailies Vande Mataram and Punjabi. He also started English monthly called People. He wrote Young India, Ashoka the Great, Chhatrapati Shivaji and other books.